Welcome back to the Middle Eight Football Podcast, the fastest 8 minutes in sports. I'm your host, Joe Burks, and let's dive into my main takeaways from Week 10 of the 2025 NFL season. Before we get into things, don't forget to follow the podcast on all social media at the Middle Eight Football Podcast. We are everywhere, all over social media, posting clips a few times a week. Let's dive into the takeaways from this wild Week 10 of the season. First off, I think the AFC North is decided. I know it's early to call 10 weeks into the season, but this looks like a division that is ready to be won by the Baltimore Ravens. The team a lot of people proclaimed as dead just about 6 weeks into the year when they were 1-5. They have now won 4 in a row. They're sitting at 500, 5-5 now. And this team looks as good as we expected them to before they suffered all of those injuries. I mean, the number of injuries they had was insane, but they have guys back now. Lamar Jackson, the most important piece, obviously, is back, and they look fantastic. The Steelers are fading. They got stomped by the Chargers on Sunday Night Football. The Bengals have the worst defense in the NFL, and that's going to hold them back from competing, even with Joe Burrow if he returns, because we've seen Joe Flacco put up amazing numbers in that offense, and it has not mattered because of how bad that Bengals defense is. So I think the Ravens are the clear contenders to win this division. They're only one game back from the top of the division right now, so I don't think it'll take long. Another takeaway, this Rams and Seahawks game in Week 11, it's an afternoon slate at 3. It's going to be probably the game of the week. I mean, these are two of the top 5 teams in football. The Seahawks specifically, maybe the best team in football on offense and defense, have looked pretty flawless over the past couple of weeks, dominating opponents like the Cardinals, like the Commanders. They've looked really just amazing. I mean, think about their defense. They have a strong front with guys like Leonard Williams. They have DeMarcus Lawrence there. Byron Murphy's look really good in the interior. Linebackers are flying around making big plays. They're moving back into the secondary. It's just unbelievable. You already have Devon Witherspoon at corner, but then you have a guy like Ty Okada in the secondary who's been really good. Nick Emanwari, rookie out of South Carolina, playing that safety spot. He looks like a superstar already. He's been really a huge playmaker for this defense. Reek Woolen played some good time as well this past week. So this defense looks amazing. And then the offense, Sam Darnold's playing out of his mind. The line looks a lot better than it did last year. The rushing attack with Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker, I don't agree with the way it's split up, but it is effective. And then Jackson Smith and Jigba at wide receiver has been amazing. I love the addition of Rashid Shaheed as well. I think he'll get more acclimated to this team in the next week or so. This will be probably the biggest test of the season, a divisional matchup in the middle of the year that could really determine playoff seeding when everything's said and done. The Rams are a really good team. They have Matthew Stafford right now maybe leading the MVP race. Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams are probably the best wide receiver duo in football right now, maybe besides a couple of other pairs. And the defense has also played fairly well. So two really amazing teams that have looked as good as we could have hoped they'd look so far this season are going to be matching up in a divisional game. It's going to be amazing. Moving over to Detroit from this past week, Dan Campbell, head coach of the Lions, took over play calling this week, and that contributed to a 44-22 victory over the Washington Commanders. The Commanders really had no chance in this game without Jaden Daniels at quarterback. The Lions offense was humming really early in this contest and just put them away really before halftime. Another double-digit victory for Detroit as they continue their strong season. And we look to next week as they took on the Philadelphia Eagles in another heavyweight NFC matchup. It's going to be good. Speaking of double-digit losses, the Bills got stomped by the Miami Dolphins. One of the results we did not see coming in this Week 10 slate. The Miami Dolphins defense just came to play, forcing turnovers. Despite a couple picks from Tua, this Dolphins offense, mostly through Devon Achane, managed, and Jalen Waddle as well, managed to put up 30 points on a strong Bills defense and only give up 13. The Bills have looked a lot more inconsistent than we've seen them in years past. The big storyline here is the Dolphins, who've allowed some pretty big rushing performances. They've been one of the league's worst rush defenses all season, only gave up 87 rushing yards to this Josh Allen and James Cook combo. I think that was their key to victory. That defense just balled out, and the offense was able to pick up from some early mistakes and put up a lot of points. Moving back to the NFC, just discussing another result there. The Vikings do fall to the Ravens 19-27. And another loss, they fall to 4-5. J.J. McCarthy, second year, really a first-year quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings as a player. I've seen catch a lot of flack from the media over the past couple of weeks. He's not a guy I'm worried about. I think he can be that quarterback of the future for the Minnesota Vikings. I think we're really quickly forgetting the job he did against this Lions defense last week. 3 total touchdowns, beating one of the NFC's best teams. I get that the Lions have been injured on the back end of their defense, but seriously, he's just still a couple starts into his career. He was injured all of his rookie year, was injured for a few weeks weeks this year with that ankle. This was definitely a bump in the road, but playing a really good Baltimore Ravens defense, and suddenly people are panicking because he threw a couple of interceptions. I think McCarthy showed a lot of promise so far this season, and I'm not worried about it. Moving on to another young quarterback who's been impressing, Tyler Shuck. When his first career starts, replaced incumbent starter Spencer Rattler just a couple games ago, but got the win against the Panthers for New Orleans' second win of the season, and an upset win, really. The Panthers have been hot. But I think Tyler Shuck earned himself the rest of the season as the starter at least. He went 19 for 27, 282 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, proving that maybe the Saints made a good decision investing a second-round pick into him, which they did in the 2025 NFL Draft. Obviously, he was one of the oldest rookies in the class, but he looked as polished as we've seen him. Got a couple of deep completions down the field, dicing up that Panthers defense. I will be intrigued to see how the season goes when he takes on some tougher matchups, but definitely a step in the right direction. We had another overseas game in Germany with the Colts and the Falcons. Jonathan Taylor locking up that game for Indianapolis, helping them move to 8-2 heading into that Week 11 bye week, putting up 32 carries for 244 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns, as well as 42 receiving yards. Right now, he has the front of the MVP race. Maybe not in the odds, but he has been the best player in football. It's not even close. He's routinely winning games for the Colts himself. The rest of this team has looked good for Indianapolis, but there's no denying that they would not be 8-2 without Jonathan Taylor. He is the most valuable player in football right now. Staying in the AFC South, we saw the Jags blow a major lead to Houston. The Texans were without C.J. Stroud because of a concussion. Davis Mills got the start for the Texans, and the Jags jumped out to an early lead after a couple turnovers. Jacksonville led 29-10 after 3 quarters, but allowed Houston to put up 26 points in the fourth quarter for a major comeback, further muddling this AFC South picture and allowing the Colts to get an even higher spot in this division as the Jaguars moved to 5-4. I called it with Kyler Murray. I'm going to call it now. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be benched sometime in the near future, whether that's towards the end of this season or in the beginning of the 2026 season. He's been kind of disappointing for me. He's had some good moments, but he has not developed so far into that lead quarterback they've been hoping for. And ending off this Week 10 slate, we had some horrible primetime games this week. We had the Denver versus Las Vegas Thursday night game that ended 10-7, and the Green Bay Philadelphia game that also ended 10-7. Denver getting the win over Las Vegas, and Philadelphia getting the late win over Green Bay. Just not a lot of offense in these primetime games. We've had a lot of good slots in Thursday night and Monday night. It looked like this Packers-Philly game was going to be awesome. It was a good game defensively. The defenses were playing out of their minds. There's not a lot of scoring. We'll see how that changes next week. I think it will, because the Week 11 slate looks unbelievable. I mean, the games we have next week between a lot of good teams are going to be super exciting to watch. You have Buffalo versus Tampa Bay, Chicago versus Minnesota, a good divisional matchup there. Chargers taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2 teams in the thick of the AFC playoff race. Cincinnati versus Pittsburgh, another divisional matchup that will definitely impact the standings in the AFC North. We already talked about Seattle versus the Los Angeles Rams. Obviously, the Rams and Seahawks looking like 2 of the best teams in football. Kansas City versus Denver, divisional matchup. Going to have massive playoff implications there. The Chiefs, 5-4, not a typical year for them record-wise, but still the ability to beat that 8-2 Broncos team. We'll see. And then Detroit versus Philadelphia, like I said before, 2 NFC heavyweights. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you in the next one.